Hello everyone. I wanted to make a video discussing some differences I've noticed with a few of the Paragon 2 alphas that are out right now, so I'm just going to be talking about that over some gameplay that I've recorded of both games, and I will give my final opinion at the end. Please note that I am not affiliated with either studio, so my opinion on the game is purely from a gameplay slash player perspective. Once Paragon shut its servers down in 2018, multiple small studios immediately picked up the assets in hopes to restore Paragon to its former glory. At the time, neither of these studios were under any pressure to deliver any sort of gameplay footage or promises besides, we are working on it. Any videos that came out were essentially existing art from those free assets meant to get people to join that studio's Discord, email newsletter, YouTube channel, etc. Fast forward 2 years, and now we have some actual gameplay footage that comes out and promises of being able to actually play their version of Paragon. Overprime was the first game to actually deliver a playable alpha. However, the playable version at this time had no servers and no launcher. This was very poor for players as installing, updating, and actually playing the game was not user friendly at all. This, of course, does put people off and reduces the number of players willing to play in general. I tried to get my own gameplay footage, but on a Saturday afternoon, I was unable to find any matches at all, even after queuing for a half hour. On July 2nd, Omedia Studios announced they would be launching an official closed alpha on Steam, and they were giving away keys. Their alpha, Predecessor, was going to last for only 2 weekends. However, in the middle of the second weekend, they decided to extend it to a third weekend. Almost immediately after the Predecessor announcement, Strange Matter Studios announced on July 5th that they were going to release an open alpha of their game on July 17th on Steam for $20. So why am I giving you all this background information? Well, I think it's important to get a bird's eye view of the whole situation and make an educated decision on everything that is going on. Now that the history is out of the way, let's get into the actual games. I will start with Fault first, and I will start with the pros. I really do like the variety of items and the aspect system in Fault. It seems like they are willing to go to the extremes with this system, and that really helps them to broaden what is viable. It helps players do more with all characters and pick the items they like to build in each role. It also allows roles to be played in a different manner than before. For a basic example, there was a game I played that Steel was my support, but he was able to output a fair amount of damage due to how he built his items, and it was working. His items were not all damaged items, though. They allowed him to support the team, but still be a viable threat in his own right, which is how he wanted to play support Steel. Fault currently has a lot of playable characters, which helps prevent the game from being stale. Combine that with the item system, and there are a lot of different ways to play, even though it's only in its alpha phase. Their characters are locked behind a paywall, however they are still available, which puts them above Predecessor. Another pro I will list is that Fault is currently accessible to play right now. You don't need to get lucky getting a key, and you don't have to wait until the next time they are able to open up the servers. You can just open up Steam, pay $20, and play the game at any time you want. There is no shady feeling about downloading or installing, and the servers are up 24/7, for now at least. A major con for me is that this really feels like they are trying to get AAA benefits with an alpha game. This game is an early access game, which is why it is strange to see a battle pass, locked characters, and purchasable skins from an alpha launch. Paragon didn't even have those heroes locked behind a paywall or game experience, and they were in beta for 2 years. It just makes me wonder why they prioritized having all of this for launch instead of fine-tuning the other issues of the game. I think that this is where Fault really lacks in its gameplay. I think that Fault feels very clunky and, to be brutally honest, cheap. When I move around in Fault, it feels slow and stiff, similar to a game called APB Reloaded, but slower. So if you've played that game before, you know what I'm talking about. This particular issue makes me uneasy because I really don't know if they are planning to fix this or if it is even a problem in their eyes. I also saw no mention of this on their Trello board, which I will have linked in the description below. It is really hard to notice other pros with this severe setback, as it is something you have to deal with every second.
An
This
enemy has
issue is
been
something that can
slain.
definitely be ironed out, and I've seen other videos point this out as well, but I think that the flow of the game in Fault is very drawn out. Laning phase lasts over 15 minutes, towers soak too much damage, and minions behave strangely, which can definitely play into slowing the game down. My first 4 games I played lasted 40 minutes each, and we didn't actually finish the game, nor were we close. One side would surrender before an inhibitor even went down all 4 games. It almost seemed like an honor system or something. Here I can show you the difference in game speed with these 2 clips, and these aren't cherry picked. All of my games that were stomps in Predecessor were only 20 to 30 minutes long, and all of the stomps in Fault carried out until the 40-minute mark. Moving on to Predecessor. I really think that they have recaptured the crisp movement and feel of the original Paragon. When I move around in Predecessor, it feels very smooth and satisfying. This is one of those things that, when done right, it doesn't hinder you when playing the game. If they are able to keep this consistent with every character, I can look forward to the other additions that they will bring to this game. Media Studios made it clear that this is something that they prioritized over other aspects of the game, and I think that it really shows. This was one of the first things I noticed when I started playing. Visually, I think this game looks appealing and matches with the movement and the feel of the game. They have done a great job at making the atmosphere natural and aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Animations are clean, structures are shaded properly, and all the little things just add up in the end. An example of a little thing is the pinging system. This is one of the many small things that worked flawlessly in Predecessor that I definitely noticed I had an issue with in Fault. I think that a big pro with Predecessor is that Omedia Studios seems to have the right priorities in place. To me, it doesn't seem like they are trying to put this game out as quickly as possible or make easy or quick money. I'm not saying that Fault is trying to do this. What I'm saying is that by not rushing development and monetization, I can rest a lot easier because this is something I don't have to worry about. It feels like they are willing to put in the work to make the game right the first time so that the rest comes easier. I think that the item shop is clearly not complete, but they have communicated that they will focus on items at a later date. If they follow up with this promise, then I can reevaluate how their items work. I do think that for an alpha, their item shop is acceptable, but for now, with essentially no active items, I will have to list this as a con. Similar to items, Predecessor lacks a decent roster of characters. During the alpha, there were only 9 playable characters. Due to this limitation, combined with a lack of items, there is not much variation in gameplay. I explained this with Fault earlier, but essentially you have less combinations of items plus characters with these few characters. If more characters and items are not added, gameplay can get stale and repetitive quickly. To me, this is why limiting alpha gameplay, for now, is not a bad idea, as it does help alleviate this issue. I did not add closed alpha or no active servers as a con here, because I don't think that this is inherently a con, as it is something that I personally am willing to wait for. If they release this game as an open beta on Steam, I feel like they will attract more than enough players to get them through to a full release. I think that overall, Predecessor will be able to stand the test of time. The faults with Predecessor to me are much easier to fix than the issues with Fault, which could plague the game even after it fully releases, if it gets to that stage. I am fortunate enough to have gotten a key to participate in at least one weekend of the alpha, and I look forward to seeing what Omedia Studios has in store for us in the next few months.